take care of their affairs and put them in proper order, as well as all kinds of other fields. Alice, you were just talking about how older people are not as valued.
Right.
And really don't receive a lot of government funding.
Right. We never, very rarely, I won't say never, we're supposed to, when Social Security was founded, get cost of living increases. That hasn't happened. Matter of fact, we did several months ago. We got a $2 increase.
But it's not enough to increase expenses. And as you mentioned, sometimes ageism or discrimination affect people from 50 to 65 who have to worry about the cost of insurance until they're covered by Medicare.
Right.
It's also important for people to realize that older people, whether they're 50, 60, 70, or 80, are, if they're working, they're taxpayers, so it's good for the economy, and they are voters. So politicians should take notice and realize they are more likely to vote than even younger people.
Yes.
Now, just tell us about your rally for age justice in Union Square, Manhattan on May 15th.
So, up until now, we have spent our this past year, we have gone to rallies and marches with other groups who, because we feel like ageism crosses every boundary. It's a woman's issue, it's a health care issue, it's a transportation issue, etc. So we marched with people that were marching for better health care. We marched with people that were marching for better
fighting other kinds of discrimination.
Fighting other kinds of things. And we decided that it was now time to have a space of our own. Because ageism, even though it is as serious as the other isms, it isn't treated that way. If you accuse somebody of being a racist or anti-Semitic, they will protest. But if you say to somebody, gee, Ken, you know what you just said, it's really an ageist comment, the response is usually, really? I have to think about that.
Well, also, when all those other disenfranchised groups reach, the older age, they may have the same problems, and they may be compounded. Right.
It's compounded.
What time is the rally, and what will happen there?
So the rally will take place at 4:30 on May 15th in Union Square in New York City. Not far for people from Nassau County to come on in. And we are going to have speakers that have been impacted by age discrimination in all different phases of their life, whether it is in the job market or it is in healthcare or it is food insecurity or whatever it is. So people will get to hear live stories from a very diverse group of older adults. We'll have some entertainment to keep everybody happy. But basically, it's our first chance for our voices to be heard.
And will there be tables there with resources concerning health care, concerning training, concerning jobs?
We have about 30 co-sponsors that represent, most of them are in the aging fields and represent different organizations. Some are healthcare organizations, some are, senior centers, some are all different organizations. And so all of those people will have their information available. And
are older people treated differently in other countries or cultures?
Well, that's changing. There used to be this myth that, that in other countries, older adults were not treated as poorly or weren't marginalized like they are here in American society. However, as more and more countries become more and more capitalist, it seems that the trend is spreading. About 2 years ago, the United Nations have the Day of the Older Person, and their lead topic was ageism around the world. and we got to see a video of different people from a huge range of countries, small countries, big countries, and all of them, in their own way, express the same thing, that they have been excluded. They have been marginalized. Now, I had the experience of being in Colombia and seeing the opposite, all right? So there are some places where, the older people in the family are venerated and honored, and
they're considered the elder wise people.
The elder wise people.
Now, is part of this an attitude in our own families in this country where this starts?
Yeah. I mean, part of it comes from, all right, we now have my grandmother, after my grandfather died, moved in and lived with us, all right? But my mom was a stay-at-home mom, all right? Now, that's rare. That most families are at least two working adults,
and so they have their work experience and their perhaps some kind of skill that they can still continue to use in the workforce.
Well, my point was that the concept of being able to taking care of mom or dad, who now may live to be 95, 100, is not as feasible because there's nobody home to take care of them.
Right. So the people in the 60s or 70s may be still helping children find themselves and taking care of their parents who as a practical matter cannot no longer work or perhaps not take care of themselves.
Right.
So what are some of the answers? What are you trying to advocate?
Well, some of the things that we advocate, the biggest thing overall that we advocate for is that people should not look at old people as something other than who they are. We are just you down the road. Everybody, if they're lucky, gets to live to an old age. But then when we get there, society seems to punish us for getting there.
And to paraphrase perhaps Martin Luther King, maybe people shouldn't be judged by their chronological age, but by their skill set, and their ability, and their ability to help improve a workplace or provide service. Right.
And, it's not, older adults aren't saying either or. We are certainly not against young adults getting jobs because we don't want our kids out of work either.
And in some fields, there's a shortage of qualified people, whether it's a physical job or a skill job or something that people don't study anymore.
The demographics are that by, I think it's 2030, there will be more people over 65 than there will be children.
So it's just as well we try to treat them better now because the majority will soon be in that category.
Right.
So if we improve the situation now, it'll be better as more people reach that line.
Plus, what you said before is true. If we can't earn money, we can't contribute to the economy. But old people spend if they have it. All right? And by pushing us out of the workforce, is creating a whole subclass of invisible poor people.
And it'll quickly become a burden to society if we lose our job, if we lose our home, if we lose our health care.
Right. Exactly.
So it starts in the family to respect and encourage people to work so long as they want to and are able to do so. And then it helps to have a new attitude in the workplace, not to put people out to pasture and to assume that they can no longer make a contribution.
Right.
And perhaps that contribution can change. Perhaps they can work part-time or a different aspect of the business.
Some people
a win-win situation for everyone.
Yes, there's a lot of people who don't want full-time jobs anymore.
And maybe seasonal work will work. So there's a lot of flexibility in that group, too, because they may not need to work 10 hours a day and 12 months a year.
And I have one friend who has a business and only hires older adults because he doesn't have to pay the same insurance because we come with our Medicare. All
and
right?
they also claim will have a lot of experience and perhaps ways of dealing with. We just have a moment or two left. Are there any other government websites for your organization or the government you'd like to give, or contact numbers?
Well, the one besides, first of all, we can be found at that's not www, but it's radicalagemovement.org is our website. And I can always be reached at alice@radicalagemovement.org.
And is there also a phone number there?
And the phone number here is, wait a minute, it's so weird because we're so new, is 646-630-4443.
And the rally is on May 15th at 4:30 in the afternoon. And
right.
You don't have to be...
We are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of the social media.
And what's the minimum age to attend the rally?
We encourage everybody to
So people can bring their families, their grandchildren,
absolutely,
to show support for this important cause.
Right, because guess what? They're going to be old someday, too.
And it's also a rally to provide information and support the people who may be experiencing discrimination and teach people why that's a bad thing and how they can adjust their attitude.
Well, also it's about encouraging people to speak out. Older people, another thing that government and institutions assume is that we're going to shrink back and we're not going to give them a lot of flack.
So this movement is growing because the population, the older population is growing too.
Right.
Okay.
And we came of age.
Okay.
We were the radicals of the 60s. That's where we got our name from.
Okay. I wish I had some more time, but we'd like to thank Alice of the radicalagemovement.org, and be sure to attend the rally on May 15th at 4:30 in the afternoon in Union Square. You've been listening to 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College, and also of the internet at ncc.edu/WHPC. You can also find a free podcast of this and many other programs on Law You Should Know by searching WHPC on iTunes. Please join us next week at this same time for another program on Law You Should Know.